and colleague. There are no words strong enough to express the grief that all of us are feeling right now after the loss of such a marvelous person. And my heart goes out to Arman's family, his parents, his siblings. Arman's dedication to his work, to tell the world the story of this terrible war, was total. Arman stood out in everything he did because he never lost sight of the fact that beyond the geopolitical implications of Russia's war against Ukraine, there are men, women, and children, parents and grandparents, brothers and sisters. It was for me, for the whole team, a privilege working with him, but it was also a privilege just knowing him, laughing with him. We're gathered here to honor a tenacious reporter, a lovely human being who, even in the middle of a war, had the kindness of saving an injured hedgehog or a stray cat. To the team that was with him, Emmanuel, Dimitar, Alexei, Anders, your courage and your dedication are an example to us all. Before handing the microphone over to our CEO, Fabrice Fries, and our news director, Phil Chetwynd, to our colleagues, Emmanuel and Anya, I want to thank the French Embassy, the Ukrainian authorities, for their help, their kindness, and their presence here today. For those of you who wish to do so, there's a book of condolences here to sign that will be passed on to Arman's family. And if you like, there will be a moment to say a few words after we've watched a video of Arman's work and life. Thank you all for being here.
Chers amis, dear friends, colleagues, officials, and to all of you following this ceremony remotely, thank you all for joining us at this difficult and painful time. It means a great deal to us. Thank you in particular to Ukrinform for hosting this special tribute to our beloved colleague, Arman Soldin, who lost his life near Chazivya last week. Today we have around 30 AFP colleagues working in Ukraine in this room, journalists, security advisors, administrative and technical staff. This morning we held a meeting in our Kyiv bureau where we were able to gauge the morale of our staff. Everyone is obviously deeply affected, and we can all imagine what Emmanuel, Dimitar, Oleski, and Anders, who were with Arman when it all happened, are going through right now. This homage is being transmitted live to AFP's 2,600 staff around the world. I would like to express our recognition and gratitude for those of you who have been on missions in Ukraine, often with Arman, and for his friends in the Rome and London bureaus, where he began his career before moving to Kyiv last September. And of course, I would like to share my emotions with Arman's family, his parents, his brother, his sisters, and Arman's so many friends who are watching us. Their pain is immense. Arman was adored. When Russia began its invasion, I was immediately impressed by the number of the journalists and technical staff at AFP who volunteered to come here to Ukraine to help our coverage of this conflict. I had been impressed in the same way 5 months earlier by our agency's mobilization to send replacements to Kabul after its capture by the Taliban for all the staff who had evacuated to Europe with their families. Arman was among the first journalists who volunteered to come to Ukraine when war broke out. He arrived in Warsaw on his way to Ukraine on the very first day of the invasion. and he was one of the journalists who did the highest number of rotations in and out of Ukraine, because he wanted to be where the story is happening. He wanted to bear witness. Arman, we now all know it, had a personal story that made this war resonate in a particular way for him. He was the child of refugees who fled Bosnia when that region was tearing itself apart. Sadly, we will not see Arman return from his mission. He will not write a blog on our making of page. He will not sing another song at full volume to release stress after a particularly difficult reporting mission. He will not save any more hedgehogs. He had an obvious talent for telling stories, for communicating on social media, for making us smile with his jokes and his good humor. We are all now familiar with his path, his work, his sunny personality. This morning, I asked our staff what Arman would have wanted to hear during this homage. The response was instantaneous, some jokes and some good music. I am afraid that there will be very little humor today, but the response is a good indicator of who Arman was. I want to tell Arman's family and his loved ones today that we know we owe you an enormous debt, and we will do everything to preserve his memory. We know, for example, that Arman was preparing a graphic novel about the conflict with an artist. If we could complete this project, it would be a nice way of keeping Arman's memory alive. And the presence among us today of the director of a hedgehog shelter makes me think that Arman's memory will also live on in Ukraine in many special ways. Arman lost his life so that millions of people could know what is happening in Ukraine. His death brings to 11 the number of journalists and media workers killed in Ukraine to keep us informed. He is also one of the nearly 30 members of the AFP family who have lost their lives doing their work since World War II. It is, of course, our duty to do everything to ensure that while we continue to cover the conflict, the price will not be even higher. I would like to borrow my final words from Arman's mother. In an interview, she said that Arman was all of humanity in one man, un concentré d'humanité. At a time when an inhuman war is ravaging Ukraine, the memory of who Arman is our pride. I will now ask Phil, our Global News Director, to say a few words.
Good afternoon, everybody. When war breaks out, the question we pose at AFP is never, shall we go? Our mission is to seek facts, to bear witness wherever that may be, no matter how difficult and no matter how dangerous. We ask, how can we go? Who can we send? And how can we possibly do this as safely as possible? This mission is deeply embedded in our DNA. The modern news agency was born out of the ashes of the Second World War and the fall of fascism. We never take the freedom to do our job for granted. Reporting on war and conflict is just an inalien part of who we are. We believe that our journalism can make a difference. We believe we need to be on the ground to hear the stories of ordinary people caught up in the tumult and the chaos. Since Russia invaded Ukraine on February 24 last year, AFP has shown an unmistakable commitment to report the story from across the country. In total, we filed from over 150 datelines from across Ukraine. We sent over 100 journalists on missions to reinforce our excellent team here inside Ukraine. At any one time, AFP has between 20 and 35 journalists working to tell the story for thousands of media clients around the world. We're immensely proud of their work, and we count ourselves fortunate to have so many brave staff and contributors committed to telling this story, often putting themselves in harm's way. And there was nobody as brave and as committed as Arman Soldin. He was integral to our operation here and helped construct a new and superb AFP TV operation after the chaos caused by the invasion. Throughout this time, Arman had no doubt where he needed to be. He was among the first AFP special correspondents to make it to Kyiv to help our local team already on the ground after the invasion. And over the next few months, he returned again and again to the country, not just to Kyiv, to Irpin, Kherson, Kharkiv, Izium, and elsewhere. And finally, of course, to the Bakhmut area, where he lost his life. The terrible but important Battle of Bakhmut, where Arman found uplifting stories to complement his filming of the attritional warfare of the trenches. The loss of Arman is so devastating for us because he represented the very best of AFP. He was totally committed to the story, and he believed that his work could make a real difference. He wanted to be on the ground to bear witness to the suffering caused by this war. And above all, he wanted to capture the human stories underneath the bullets and the shells. Quite amazingly, he did all this with a smile and a positive energy that enchanted both his colleagues and the subjects of his stories. Everybody seems simply to have loved working with him. He was a ray of sunshine for many of his colleagues. He worked hard, but he also took his fun very seriously. He loved to dance. He loved his music. He loved his friends. He loved animals. And he loved football. And it's really important to note, his work had real impact. It mattered. AFP works for hundreds of TV stations and thousands of media clients in every corner of the globe. His images and stories consistently found their way onto the world's biggest platforms. Many clients knew him and tracked his output. They looked for his stories and images. When we lost him last week, AFP's loss was also our client's loss. His reports from Ukraine were a vital part of our coverage, said one European TV station. His way with words and video was inspirational, said another. He told powerful stories about life, stories our audience need to hear. The loss of Arman is a body blow. It shakes our resolve and makes us question everything we do. We rightly ask ourselves difficult questions. But it also sharpens our focus. It is important to keep going to honor the memory of Arman. He believed passionately in the work we are doing here in Ukraine, and so do we. It will, of course, be hard and painful to return to the front line, but we shall find a way, just as we did when we lost our friends Sada Ahmad, Mohammed Akhtar, and Shah Marai in Afghanistan. At a time when populism and dictatorship are fueling distrust of journalism, we should all be moved by Arman's story. His journey from civil war Bosnia to the trenches of Ukraine is a powerful antidote to the cynicism around us. There is an inspiring clarity and purity to his journalistic vision. At AFP, we shall never forget this, and we should strive every day to ensure we live up to his standards. Thank you.
Arman, mon cher Arman, tu étais toujours ouvert aux autres, tourné vers les autres. Alors je suis sûr que tu aurais aimé que je me tourne aujourd'hui aussi vers les autres.
Армане, ти завжди був уважним до інших. You have always been attentive to others. And I want, on your behalf, to talk to other people as well.
Ont vécu chaque heure de ce jour maudit, qui, à tes côtés, ont vécu ces secondes terribles et angoissantes, quand se sont abattues sur nous ces sinistres roquettes, celles qui ont injustement et brutalement pris ta vie.
Today, I think you would want me to talk to those who were next to you for the last 2 weeks, those who lived with you every hour of your way, those who were near you when we were under the fire.
Notre talentueux photographe, qui le premier s'est penché sur toi pour tenter de prodiguer des premiers secours.
Я хочу віддати
I would like to do the honor to Dimitar, our talented photographer, who was there first to help you.
Qui se sont occupés de toi avec force et bienveillance.
Я хочу віддати шану Олексію, нашому.
I would also like to thank Alexei, our tireless fixer, and Anders, people who took care of you when it all had happened.
En confiance.
And of course I shall never remember Andrei, our brave driver, who knows by heart all the roads in the Donbass. You were sitting next to you to have fun with him, to talk to him, to be next to him.
En dépit du danger qui a continué de rôder sur nous, ils ont chacun fait preuve d'un immense courage. Depuis mardi, comme moi, ils sont dans la douleur.
Незважаючи на шок,
In spite of the shock of your untimely death, in spite of the death of yours, there were 2 more shots, and those who were under fire were proved to be very courageous. We feel pain now.
Qui nous ont admirablement soutenus et accompagnés. Je voudrais dire également merci à tous ceux, de l'agence et d'ailleurs, qui nous ont apporté leur soutien par leur présence ou leur message.
I would also like to thank Anya and Antoine, who supported us in a meaningful way. I thank everybody at our agency and beyond who gave us their thoughts.
Ta famille et celles et ceux dont tu étais très proche. Sans cesse, nous pensons à eux. Leur douleur est encore plus profonde que la nôtre. Je sais que tu seras bientôt auprès d'eux, avec eux.
Arman, dear Arman, I also am turning to your parents, to your loved ones, to your family. We keep thinking of you, and we offer our condolences. Your pain is deeper than ours. I know that very soon you will join them.
Toi, tu étais un magnifique camarade de mission. Nous garderons toujours au fond de nous ton grand sourire généreux, ton sourire, ton rire, ton courage, ton attention aux autres, ton énergie, ton enthousiasme, ta joie de vivre. Tout ce que tu étais nous aide aujourd'hui à être forts, à avancer, à continuer à vivre et à sourire malgré la douleur.
Dear Arman, at last I talk to you. You were an amazing partner on our trips. We will keep in our hearts your laughter, your smile, your bravery, your care for the others, your energy and enthusiasm, your feeling and enjoyment of life, everything that you were. Help us today to move forward, to keep on living in spite of the grief.
Il y en a un qui n'est pas là, mais lui aussi, il t'aurait dit 1000 merci. Il t'aurait rendu un hommage à piquer nos yeux. C'est ton ami Lucky, le petit hérisson. Merci Arman, notre Arman.
And I almost have forgotten. There are a couple of people who'd like to be here. Those people would like to say the words that would make us shed our tears. A small hedge that you have saved. Thank you. And may you rest in peace.
I would like to say that the battle for Bakhmut has a very personal meaning for the whole AFP team in Ukraine. Last year, we already lost our former colleague, Sasha Sabachenko, who worked with us as a text reporter from 2013 to 2020. He joined the army and he went missing in July 2022 in Bakhmut area, and we still have no news about him. Last week, we lost Arman, and it also happened near Bakhmut. Arman arrived here in the first days of the Russian invasion. He showed the world the hell our country has been going through. He wanted the world to know and to see it. In September, Arman moved to Kiev. He has become one of ours, one of the Kiev Bureau family. And he will remain one of us forever. Arman was an excellent journalist, but most importantly, he was a great person, kind and humane. He cared about others. He cared about us. There was so much life in Arman, so much love. It was a privilege and an honor to work with him. Our thoughts are with Arman's family. We're sending you love and care and strength. Наше неискренне соучастие. Ми тугуємо за вами.
We will honor our dear friend forever.
The minute of silence in memory of Arman. And now we can see a video of Arman life and work.
Poilu, réveille-toi un peu, Poilu, c'est...
Ne faites pas ça à la maison, ça. N'essayez surtout pas de faire ça à la maison, ça.
Like the fact that it's you never know what's going to happen, so there's a sense of how to say it's not every day business as usual. And I came to stay here for now, and I've been here for more than 6, 7, 8 months. And it's important for us to be here. I don't know, especially foreigners to I don't know, try to tell what's going on. Là, vous entendez les bombardements qui ont là, juste là-bas. Vraiment à une douzaine de kilomètres. Vous voyez derrière moi le pont de Boutcha à Irpin. Et on entend les bombardements. Là, c'est les bombardements défensifs. C'était французская пресса. Репортаж.
Француза мое. Это здесь. Там у нас вода есть, радио.
Тут через дорогу вообще дом разрушил вчера. Первый этаж, второй.
Let's talk to this guy. Let's go talk to this guy. Как его зовут?
Я не знаю хозяина.
Да, он это не его лошадь, он пойдет.
Оторвало.
Начали опять нелеповку обстреливать.
Вот это сервис, да? Обожаю.
Нет, смысл был.
Man, it's really hot. Can you show the cat?
There I made my stand. I hold my shoulder.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Oui, oui, oui. Mais attention, ça c'est un bâton quand même.
Ладно, сейчас я не спешу, меня тут... He's going just to cut the wood, so you can continue to film him, and going just to bring him some cigarettes.
So hey me, oh hey me, I'll be dead and gone. Hey me, oh hey me, I'll be dead and gone. Moonlight ahead, play the grave song.
Do you in Ukraine?
Reports on YouTube. My name is Piotr and I'm looking for love. I'm the newly single, hunky Bosnian guy looking for my love.
Absolutely.
Perfect. No chance also. You've got 20 minutes, I'm going to leave this up to you as a reminder, but I will give you a signal as well.
Okie dokie. Thank you very much. John, thank you for speaking to us.
Bonsoir et bienvenue dans un débrief pas comme les autres. Nous sommes à Liverpool et c'est Halloween. Et Liverpool vient tout juste de battre West Ham 2-1. Et les supporters ont eu très peur parce que c'était un match compliqué. Et nous allons justement leur poser quelques questions ici à l'église d'Anfield. Venez avec moi.
Ho, ho, ho. Et oui, vous interceptez le Père Noël en plein shopping. Nous sommes dans le cœur de Londres. Vous reconnaissez la place centrale de Londres, Piccadilly Circus. Et il y a des dizaines et des dizaines de personnes, des touristes, mais pas que. Et c'est un jour spécial parce que historiquement, le Boxing Day, je ne peux pas vraiment la chanter, mais c'est la fameuse chanson. Allez, allez. Mais on l'entendra peut-être tout à l'heure, en tout cas.
Ok. C'est l'heure de célébrer avec les supporters. Merci. De la finale ce soir à Wembley. Nous sommes dans les rues de Londres, la capitale, où l'ambiance est déjà à son apogée. Non, que dis-je, peut-être pas encore, mais disons que les Anglais ont commencé très tôt, fidèles à leur réputation. Ils se sont levés très tôt. Ils se sont levés très tôt et ils pensent que... fidèles à leur réputation.
Do you think we should have got more goals?
Yeah, but I got scared a little bit because they put themselves in a bit of trouble themselves, like in the second half. So yeah, like.
Možemo ipak vidjeti, ovdje smo znači na Majdanu, prošle godine u ovo doba je bilo potpuno pusto, grad je bio potpuno zatvoren, zaključan, bili su checkpointi, bila je vojska zaustavljala sviju, znači na različitim mjestima u gradu, tako da je danas u prilike veoma mirno, veoma tiho. Mislim, danas lijep dan u Kijevu.
Oh là 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 là.
thank you again for coming. I just wanted to remind everybody that there's a book of condolences to sign this so that we can send that back to his family. And if any one of you has a few words to say about his life experience with Arman, he's welcome to. Thank you very much.
Colleagues, I'm Bogdan Mihailo from the Kiev Post, Chief Editor. I'm proud to say we work with Agence France Presse. We have a good working partnership. A lot of the photos and the reports that you see are from them, from this gentleman, colleague, until recently, but who will remain in our hearts. What can I say? A tragic loss for all of us, but he represents the best among us, the journalists, those who try to get to where it's at, to tell the truth, to risk our lives, our reputations, to get the messages across. And I think what struck us most was not only his professionalism, but the human touch, the human being that was ready to sacrifice his life to get these pictures to us and to make the world aware of what's happening in Ukraine, albeit in any other place that he may have been deployed to as a professional. So I think on behalf of all our colleagues in Ukraine, whether we write in English ou le français, et merci à tous nos collègues français, whether we write in English or Ukrainian or any other language, we salute this hero, this true representative of journalism at its best, and let this be a source of inspiration for all of us. Let us redouble our efforts, raise our professionalism, and remain committed to the cause of journalism in its purity, in its best forms. Thank you, cher ami. Rest in peace. Thank you.
I will just say a few words on behalf of Reporters Without Borders, RSF. There is no proper age to enter into the pantheon of journalism, but definitely Arman was too young. There are too many journalists, reporters, whatever the type of reporters in this pantheon, and too many young people. I would like to express our feelings toward the AFP team on leadership. We share your pride. We share, of course, your sadness. But you can really be proud for what you do every day, to have a community, because what we can feel from outside, even if we are close to AFP, this is that you are really a community, if not a family, and that you embody the best of the family of journalism. And really, thank you for this. You set an example, and you will continue. We know that you measure the risks. We know that you act on behalf of our ideal, your ideal, but there is no risk, zero. I would like to quote all the names of the journalists that were killed in Ukraine in the course of their jobs. There are at least 10 or 11, really too many, and we hope that there will be an end for the journalists killed on the field. Every year, between 50 and 100 journalists are killed in the course of their jobs in the world, in countries at war, but also in peacetime, and we have to put an end to it. Thank you. I will just add that we filed a hate complaint in front of the ICC today for all the war crimes that are committed against journalists in Ukraine. This is the eighth one. It is about journalists that are clearly targeted, like Bogdan Bitik a few days ago. This is about forced disappearances of journalists, that, like the one of Dmitry Kilyuk and others. This is about bombings of even TV towers. TV towers are not human beings, but it's about the right to information for all people. And in this complaint, even if there is no conclusion today, we mentioned, of course, the name of Arman Soldin, and we give it by hand tomorrow to the General Prosecutor of Ukraine.
Sorry, a few words. I didn't know Arman, unfortunately, before I got this news, but as I see, he was not only a great journalist, but also a great human. In French slogans, there are three words: equalité, fraternité, liberté. Unfortunately, we are all equal under the danger of war, and I believe that all those who organize this war should be equal to be punished and investigate why they organize this war, because a lot of not only journalists but a lot of humans have been killed. Fraternité, there is a great brotherhood of journalists who are covering this war, who work in this war to give to a world understanding what we have with this aggression of Russia. And of course, liberté, we are fighting for freedom, and we will prevail. І в нас є такий вислів: герої не вмирають. Вічна пам'ять.
They say in Ukrainian, heroes do not perish. Eternal memory to our friend.
Hi there, my name's Tom. I'm a freelance reporter based there. I just wanted to say a very short word about the fact that while I know that Arman was dearly beloved by all his AFP colleagues, he was also seen by one of the freelancers, by many of the freelancers here, as the most generous, as the most approachable, as the most kind with his time, with his advice, with his contacts of basically anyone that we knew. I met him first in Kramatorsk while we were both reporting on the sieges of Lysychansk and Severodonetsk last year, and we spent a lot of time together after he moved to Ukraine, and I'm glad to say that he developed from a colleague into a very dear friend. He was the last person I saw before I left Ukraine a few weeks ago, and we had so many things that we wanted to say about how we were going to catch up and the adventures we were going to take together, and I'm so sad that I'll never be able to share those moments with you again, and I want to say goodbye to one of my dearest friends.
I just also wanted to say a few words about my friend Arman. I work for the Kyiv Independent, but I met him last fall, and ever since then he's been a really supportive friend who has given me so much energy, not just me, but all other journalists. And even though his coverage of Ukraine has been incredible, he would never take my words, and I would always tell him, but he would never believe me. And he's the most humble person I know, the bravest journalist I've ever met, and his work and as a friend, I will miss him very much. And the world has lost an incredible journalist that has provided a very valuable window to the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Thank you.
No one else wishes to speak. We have some drinks and some food, and please take the time to mingle and share amongst each other your memories of Arman. Thank you very much.